Last night began just like so many others for Brian and me. We'd eaten dinner, cleared the table side by side, and then settled into the couch, wine glasses in hand. Thursday evenings had become our little ritual, rewatching old sitcoms, laughing at the same lines as if they were brand new. I'd always looked forward to those nights. They felt warm, familiar, safe, but something about last night didn't feel quite the same. Brian was unusually quiet. His forehead occasionally creased as if something heavy weighed on him. I noticed it partway through the second Friends episode, but I didn't say anything immediately. He reached for my hand, fingers cool against mine, and gazed at me with those deep hazel eyes, the same ones that drew me in more than 10 years ago. "Amy," he said, his voice calm but serious. "Can we talk?" The tone made me straighten up. My heart began to pound. Was something wrong? Was it health? Work? Family? I tried to keep my voice light. "Of course," I replied, doing my best to seem unfazed, even though I wasn't. He took a breath and paused the show. "I've been thinking about us," he said. "Not because something's wrong. I love you, probably more than ever, but I've realized I've been holding something in." I blinked, unsure. Brian had always been the emotionally open one, sweet, tuned in, and expressive. If he'd ever kept walls up, I hadn't noticed. "What do you mean by holding back?" I asked, turning toward him more fully. He squeezed my hand. "I've always tried to be the version of myself I thought you needed," he admitted. "Stable, dependable, strong. But there's something I've wanted to share for a while. Something important. I just didn't know how." I leaned in, my heartbeat rising for reasons other than anxiety. "Brian," I said, "you can tell me anything. You know that." He nodded, let go of my hand, stood and began pacing slowly. Then he stopped and looked at me again. "I want us to try something new. Something that shifts how we understand each other, emotionally, mentally." He looked anxious, and that made me feel tense too. "Okay," I said, giving the word room, inviting him to go on. "I want to break our patterns," he said. "Just for one night. No routines, no assumptions, just us. Honest, open, without filters, saying what we feel, what we need." I stayed quiet, taking it all in. It wasn't a bad idea. It actually sounded therapeutic, like something couples do to reconnect. But his tone made it feel like more. "Are you saying you want us to role play or something?" I asked, half joking to ease the tension. He chuckled, but it was brief. "Not that," he said. "I want to tell you things I've never said. And I want you to do the same. No fear, no judgment, just truth." He looked at me with such vulnerability it tugged at something inside. There was even a flicker of fear in his eyes, and that moved me. I nodded. "Okay," I said, "let's do it." We turned off the TV, set our glasses aside, and sat cross-legged, facing each other like new acquaintances. Brian began. "When we met," he said, "I was terrified. You seemed so smart, so alive, so out of my league. I felt like a small-town guy trying to keep up, but I wanted to be good enough." I smiled, touched. "I thought the same," I said. "You seem so steady, so kind. I was afraid I'd ruin it somehow." He smiled, encouraged. "There's more," he said. "I spent years trying to be the strong one, but the truth is, I've been scared and unsure more times than I can count. I just didn't know how to say it without disappointing you." I cupped his face with my hand. "You've never needed to be perfect, Brian," I whispered. "I've loved the imperfect parts just as much." Tears welled in his eyes. Then it was my turn. I spoke about moments I felt invisible, not because of him, but because I didn't know how to voice my own needs. I admitted how I sometimes missed the spark of our early years, the spontaneous version of myself who believed anything could happen. We talked for hours. It was intense, honest, and freeing. And then Brian said the thing that changed everything. I want us to make a promise, he said. Every month, once, we do this. We sit down, talk, and listen. Nothing off limits. No fear. I nodded, feeling emotions swell. I'd love that, I said, but he wasn't finished. And I want us to try new things, not just talk. Experiences, classes, trips, dancing in the kitchen, learning something odd and fun. I don't want to become a couple lost in routine. I want to keep growing until we're old and gray and still surprising each other. That's when I cried. Not because I was sad, but because I understood how rare it is to be loved like that, to be seen and still challenged to evolve. We held each other close for what felt like forever. Later, we played music, old jazz, and danced barefoot on the hardwood floor. There was no plan, no timeline, just two people rediscovering something important. When I woke up this morning, there was a note on my pillow in Brian's handwriting. "Thank you for last night," it said. "You gave me more than you'll ever know." I tucked it into my journal, smiling like someone in love all over again, and somehow everything feels new.